Welcome, everybody, to the Culture Shock Podcast. It's your boy, Pat Bayless, and I'm in the building with somebody very special, another one of my family members. For this month being very special and dear to me and my family, we're doing something that's kind of been in the works for a couple of years. She's going to be mad, and she's going to tell you about it. She came up with this idea for Pride Month, and I think it's a beautiful thing to get into and really understand for a lot of people that don't or could be ignorant to it. So with that being said, my aunt is in the building. Gladys, how you doing, Didi?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So we've been trying to do this episode. Well, mostly you came up with the idea, and I thought it was a beautiful idea to talk about Pride Month and to really bring up things that even now in the climate that we're in, 2025, with a president that has tried to take these things away, is turning people back against it, was trying to rewrite history again. So before we get into all of that, I want people to learn a little bit about you, learn about our family and where you come from and things of that nature. So one of my first questions is, where did you grow up? And things of that nature, like how many siblings do you have and stuff like that?
Okay. So I grew up in Long Island, born in Queens, but I came over so young that I don't even consider myself really from there. So I grew up here, mostly Quorum, Longwood School District from a very young age. I have 3 sisters. We're all very different, but very tight. We have a really great relationship and a lot of history with them.
So I had mom on here, and she was explaining that you guys, she didn't go too deep into it, but she was explaining how you guys were the closest. You and mom were the closest, that you kind of had each other's back very quick off the jump. Things like, when you would do something bad in school or even being around the neighborhood, y'all would always have each other's back. What would you say Christina, my mom, means to you just as like a partner in crime when it comes to being a sister?
Oh my God, we were thick as thieves. Like, she says that she covered for me. Well, I covered for her too.
Really?
So she used to, my parents were very, very strict. So we basically couldn't do anything. So she would jump out the window and I would be inside, and like I'd have to hook up the window so that they would never know. I'd let her back in at like 3, 4 in the morning because we had a room, we shared a room, and it was lower level. I don't know why my parents thought that was okay, but we used to like smoke in the bathroom downstairs, and it was like my dad would always know, my mom would always stick up for us. They would never do that, but we totally did. And yeah, she just always had my back. She would, like she said in yours, the teachers would call my house and she'd act like my parents. One time, this is pretty bad. I was 13 years old, stole my parents' car, saw my dad on the road, on Cormount Sinai Road, and we like crossed paths. And my dad turned around and started chasing me. I was like gone, lost him. And then I had my friend call Christina and was like, hey, She parked the car behind Quorum School. The keys are on the tire, because I was not going home because I knew I was going to get my ass kicked when I got. Oh, can I say that?
Yeah, absolutely.
My ass kicked when I got home. So
how many days did it take you to go home when that happened?
My mom. My mom came to my friend's house. I don't know, a couple of days later. It was just a mess. I was a mess. I went on a rooftop. My mom was like, "Get down here!" It was just crazy. I was scared to go home. Yeah,
that's back in the day. That's back in the day when you could actually do shit like that. Now, I feel like you don't see things of that magnitude. I mean, that's dope. Would you consider yourself I wouldn't say a problem child, but consider yourself maybe the most rugged out of your 4 sisters?
I think I was the rebel growing up.
Yeah.
They would say, yeah.
But I would say also the calmness, right?
But as far as temper, I don't have the worst temper.
That's what I was going to say, but you also have a calmness to you.
I do you're allowed to do this. I just want to go one step further. I got to push something a little bit further. I've always been like that.
Do you think any childhood traumas propelled you in certain aspects of being an adult?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
So, oh, wow, we going right there. Okay.
You could if you want. If you want.
We could. So my parents found out that I was gay, and they kicked me out. I was 18, and I basically got home, and there was a big garbage bag on the front lawn with all my shit in it. Wow. And they basically were like, you can't stay. Well, I remember my dad saying, like, is this the life you're going to lead? And I was like, this is just what it is. Basically, he's like, well, you can't stay here. And then, I had to go.
Yeah. What was that like mentally? Was it one of those things where life was going so fast that you didn't really think about it, or was it harmful to you? Like, did it hurt right away to you, or was it something that
No, well, you
life
know,
was just
I was
moving?
honestly, I was really fortunate. My best friend, and her mom took me in, and honestly, they didn't have to do that because they like lived in a little ass apartment. They lived in Homestead Village, 1-bedroom apartment. I was living on their couch, out of that big bag. Matter of fact, for Christmas, so this happened like right after high school. Like I had just graduated, and then so like what, June, and for Christmas time, I was still there. For Christmas time, her mom got me a luggage for Christmas, and I'm like, thank you, but why? You know, 'cause I'm like, I don't go on vacation. You know, and she was like, you know, I'm tired of seeing you live out of that big bag. You know, and I'll
beautiful.
always like, here I am. I'm like 51 years old, and
Yeah.
I'm like, always remember her for that. And me and Elise were besties still. Going to Peru with her in a couple of weeks. You know, but I will never, forget what them two did for me.
So going away from family, what would you say? What would you say it was like growing up? Was it, this is the 80s, right? This is the 80s into the 90s? 80s into the 90s, right?
I mean, I was born in the 70s.
Yeah. But when you but when you finally was like, you know what, I'm gay and
90s.
I'm moving, so I'm moving, I got kicked out and now I'm moving into this realm of this is who I am. And you guys got to accept it. How hard was that to deal in the public eye? Because back then it was a little bit different than
It was a lot
now.
different. Yeah,
Right.
it was not like the trend. It was not cool back then. It was not okay. I had a couple of people, thank God, in my corner. After I got kicked out, your mom had promised me, she's only 3 years older than me. She was still living home. You were a baby, and she promised me like that she's another one who's in my corner with that. Like, I'm going to save up money and get us an apartment. So she kept her word. So a few months later, maybe not even a few months, probably like a year later, we got an apartment together. And then your dad came along and I went away to college. I put myself through college, So when you asked earlier, how did it, affect me? And I still do, like I turned the bad to good. So instead of turning to drugs, instead of turning to alcohol and all that, like I put myself through college. You know what I'm saying? Where I heard stuff like, you're going to college, you're not college material. And I was just like, oh, bad watch, So
Now you're doing that, right? We're going to the college era and things of that nature. There's this chip on your shoulder, right? You would say this chip on your shoulder moving forward every step of the way. Yeah. A lot of people, like you said, is a great point. A lot of people they deal with something like that and they conform or they turn to something that is more detrimental than what somebody else has done to them. Now they're doing it to themselves. So in that aspect, you flipped it. How hard was it though to now go into college and still be positive? Because everybody has the ups and down days, right? So did you find yourself just always on a positive note to get to the next platform, to the next platform, to the next platform?
Okay, so it's funny you say that. So it sounds all great, right? Put myself through college. I did all these great things. I didn't turn to drugs and alcohol. So I pat myself on the back for that. However, the problem with that is like I'm always, and I'm still working on this now. Like I'm in therapy now, still working on this. And I feel like I've gotten so much better, but I was always on to the next thing. You know what I'm saying? And like that, for me, not being on to the next thing is work. You know what I'm saying? So because I was out at such a young age and I depended on me, at the end of the day, I still feel like I always have me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that did not allow me to maybe let good people in my past that maybe, or I let them in and I couldn't keep them because I always had like that. I'd let them get so far and then boom, a wall.
Wall closed up.
And that is something I'm definitely working on. I definitely think that I'm way better than I ever was with that. And I think that has a direct correlation with being out so young and having to just do for myself with the help with other people, thank God. I had that. But
what would you consider in relationship wise how your relationships were in your early 20s or early teens or late teens into your early 20s? How would you consider your relationships with people, like, and I mean like loving like
intimate, like
intimate, exactly.
Kind of like what I said, like I'll get close to them and then I wouldn't, once it got to a certain point, I wouldn't allow them in as much as I should have with some people. Some people didn't deserve it, but I could think of, you know, a person or two that definitely did deserve it, and I deserved to have, you know, me to open up, and I didn't.
Right.
You know.
Another thing that I really, really, really want to talk about is not only dealing with being so young and trying to figure things out. How many people, like you said, there's, you know, what was her name, Elaine?
Elise,
excuse me.
and her mom,
Elise,
Stephanie.
yeah. So they did that for you. How many friends did you have at that point?
When I went away to college, I mean, I had friends came and go. I had a couple of friends that stuck around, but like more distance, you know. So it wasn't like, I don't remember really losing anyone besides like my girlfriend at the time.
Right.
You know, my high school sweetheart that I lost because of this situation, because her parents like freaked out and, you know.
Didn't want to
And then I
forced
moved
their hand.
away. Huh?
They kind of forced their hand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's tough. I know that, you know, obviously grandma and grandpa very spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like growing up in church and dealing with church? Was it one of those things where even now to this day, it's like a fighting force against each other, where it's like you want to be maybe a certain level with spirituality, but then you think about past and things of that nature, or is it just off the table?
So for me, I don't really do organized religion because of that. I grew up in a born-again Christian household and church, and I grew up listening to how gay people were like on the same level, like child molesters, and all they do is drugs, and all they do this and all they do that, you know.
Right.
So I don't really do that. I find that I'm the most spiritual now, you know. After I went through my divorce, I really had like this awakening, and I feel like way more spiritual now as an adult than I ever did growing up in organized religion.
Yeah.
So I could have been in church 7 days a week back then. I'm definitely way more spiritual now, have a better relationship with God now. And when I was in church, I mean, I was sitting there, you know, staring at the beautiful singer the whole time.
I'm dead.
So Cindy, if you're out there, no, just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
The craziest part about it is, I always say, like, even now for me, it's like sometimes it's like you said, the way people are presenting it. Like, you're getting screamed at the gay people are this, gay people are that, gay. Sometimes it's the way you say it and the way you present it. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to have certain beliefs. Everybody has different beliefs in things. But I think it's the way it's presented that's a huge thing. Like, I know, like, pastors that I listen to, they speak a certain way. Like, they don't do the whole rah-rah talk. They talk.
Yeah, and I still think it's a different time, too. And I just also want to add a disclaimer, too. Like, not all Christians are like that either,
Right.
because I know a lot of Christians that aren't like that.
Right.
That's just, the one I grew up in was very, very radical.
Right.
They had great music, but
Yeah, no, the music's always good.
yeah, the music is good, but
Yeah, the music is always
to
good.
grow up hearing that your whole life, and then, you know, you being gay yourself, like, I definitely had a struggle with that, like thinking I was going to hell for so long. Like, it's just, it's crazy.
So well, technically you've had 2 careers, like big major careers, in your life. One being a police officer. What was your driving force to become a cop?
Honestly, like, I just was always a people person. I've never had like regular jobs. I knew I always wanted to be around people and helping people. So it honestly happened. I was dating someone in my 20s, and she was a detective, and she was like, "Hey, you should take the test." And I was like, "You think?" And then that job really taught me I could do anything.
Right.
Like, that was, I was young. I accomplished a lot with that. I saw a lot of stuff on the street, and it gave me so much more confidence, even more, than before.
Nah, it totally makes sense. How was that within working in the NYPD? Was it something that people kept quiet if they were gay, or was it something that was more open in that environment?
I would say more for the girls, it was open. If you were a guy, like, I didn't know any guys that was out then.
Right.
They probably would have flipped their lockers back then.
Really?
But that's what they would do. Like, if someone was an outcast, like got blackballed or something, they would flip lockers.
Really?
Yeah. So, but girls, there was me. There was, a couple of girls there that were out.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Cool. The guys mostly, like, as long as you were rough and rugged in the street, you had their back. They didn't care about that stuff. Would they make comments and stuff? Yeah, they'd make comments, but it was like, whatever,
How was it? You worked in what borough?
Brooklyn.
How was that? What was the street life like back then working the
Busy.
time you was working? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of homicides. I was in a narcotics. They don't even have it anymore. Narcotics unit is called SNU, Street Narcotics Enforcement Unit. So it was like a plain clothes, half uniform detail, but they got rid of it. They don't even have it anymore.
What's the closest you felt in the NYPD to feeling like this could be my last day?
As far as getting into a shooting or something like that?
Yeah, anything of that
Well,
nature.
I'll tell you, I have dodged a couple of times, and like legit, I think definitely God has been looking out for me. I'll just tell you real quick too. So I was, like I said, in a narcotics unit, and there was this sergeant that was always trying to pull me into this a gun unit. It was called anti-crime at the time. I don't even think they have that anymore. Maybe they do, or maybe they named it something else. But basically, you're looking for guns, and I was good where I was at. I was making a lot of money, a lot of overtime. So he was like, all right, well, do you know anyone? So I was like, yeah, my boy Garrido. So I hooked him up. He got in the unit, and like within a couple of months, we hear on the air he gets shot. So now we go there, deal with that. Thank God he's alive. He was wearing his vest, but the doctor said that if it was a skinny male or a female, they would have died no matter what, even with the vest, because he got shot point blank in the heart. So I remember telling him like he was a piggy bank, because I'm like, I could put a quarter in your chest right now. Like it was a big gash right in his heart.
Wow.
So like that was one instance, like that could have been me, because if I would have got shot like that, I'd be dead. And then another time, we were in the van, and it was like a Friday night or whatever. My friend Elise, the one that took me in when I was younger, she lives in Maryland, and she hit me up and she was like, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" So I was like, "Nothing." And she was like, "Why don't you come down?" It was like spur of the moment. It's whatever at night or Friday, and I was like, "Hey, Sarge, can I leave? I want to go down south." And he's like, "Yeah, no problem." I leave, they get into a shootout like that same night. Wow. So like, there's been a couple of times that I've dodged it. Have I ever pulled my gun out? I have, but I don't recall ever feeling like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Like
I have to use it.
It's different. Like when you're working, you don't. To me, I don't remember ever really thinking like that. It's like people are running out, you're running in. It's just your job. It's just what you do. You don't really think.
Am I wrong with this, or do I remember this correctly? 9/11, you were off, right, or something like that?
Yeah, you're right. I was off, but everyone got called in.
Right.
So I definitely been down to ground zero a lot. I did that. I did.
What was that like when it first happened?
Hard. Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest. I've seen a lot working, and that precinct was very busy. So I've seen a lot of dead people. I've seen people shot to death, stabbed to death, car accidents, all of it. The only thing that doesn't even bother me. I mean, sad to say, sorry, but that doesn't bother me so much. But 9/11 until this day still bothers me.
Really?
Yeah, I still have dreams that I've never had before about like airplanes and stuff, like coming low, and I'm like trying to run away from it, and they're like shooting down at me, like just crazy stuff that I've never had before.
Right.
Yeah.
Did that make you, so you retired early from that, correct? Mm-hmm. So did any of those things have any type of pull to make you want to walk away and into becoming a teacher? Like what was the driving force behind that?
Oh, because I was married, and she had 2 kids that were young, and she was a cop too, and it was like, it didn't make sense. We bought a house out here in Long Island. We were living in Queens. Didn't make sense for both of us to be cops and hire a babysitter when they were here. So it just made sense for me to, go eventually become a teacher. I left. I didn't even have a job yet.
Really?
Yeah. So she held down the bills for a year. I finished I did most of my degree, but I had to just finish one more year. And I got the job, but a lot of cops, like, they were like, "You're Caro, you are crazy. Like, you don't even have a job lined up." I'm
Especially
like,
a job that has a pension and all of that could be at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That faith
I did, but it just made sense. I stood, I had the same schedule as the kids, and she stood working, because I always knew, like, before being a cop, I work with kids. You know what I'm saying? I work with teenagers at Madonna Heights, which is like kids that had pins warrants on them and stuff. Yeah, so like I was always, teenagers is like easy to me, So, and I like being a cop, but I'm like, okay, so if we're living on Long Island, I don't have to travel back and forth to the city. I could be home with the kids, and you know what I'm saying? So the scheduling just made sense, and I just went for it.
You've been teaching for 18 years?
20.
Oh, 20 years now.
I know,
so
time flies.
I know, I thought I had that right. So you've been teaching for 20 years. What is the most enjoyable thing about teaching? Because I know getting up at 5 o'clock sucks.
Oh no, the 5 o'clock is the worst.
Yeah. So what's the most enjoyable thing about teaching these kids that you teach?
The kids, because I have 11th and 12th, and I talk real talk with them. Matter of fact, one of the kids had they had an assignment, and they had to write their favorite teacher, and one of them wrote me because like I always keep it real with them. I treat them like I would treat my own kids. You know what I'm saying? I don't sugarcoat anything, and I tell them about what's real out there. And plus, I teach criminal justice, so that's awesome too, because then they love hearing all the cop stories.
Right.
You know.
Do you feel a lot of times when they graduate, when they move on in life, do you ever feel emotional attachment towards any of them? And I don't mean
to be honest, like,
you know what I mean, like
no, I wish them well. And
yeah, and then that's it. Yeah, no, I feel you. I listen.
I'm just listen. Maybe I don't know. I'm wrong. I just don't take anything home with me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So we go from the teaching aspect, and I want to get back into just Pride Month and things of that nature. In 2025, it's just a little bit different. There's so many things fighting against each other, back like how it used to be, I would say, probably, right? Mm-hmm. And so much hate in this world. But what is it like to just be a lesbian woman living on Long Island in 2025? What do you feel truthfully from your heart?
As far as pride, like as far as
just
being out?
Yeah, like being out and then just dealing with every day. Like how do you look at people? How do you view people that know or may know that you are gay? I
don't have a problem with it, but what I definitely do, and I still do, and it might be because when I was younger, I still definitely look over my back if I'm with Neff and she goes to hold my hand because she's very out, right?
Yeah.
I'll hold her hand, not a problem, but I'm making sure like we're good. You know, certain areas I feel more safe, certain areas not as much, you know. So I'm always like thinking safety just because I know that, you know, things still happen. And a lot of it may be embedded from when I was younger, like I couldn't be out, you know, but a lot of it is still some people, you know, still gay bash and stuff.
How do you think it differs with being a lesbian and then being a gay man? What is it? What's the difference that you see as far as like treatment?
Okay, so I'm going to say it's twofold. So I think it's probably easier for women. I think gay guys have really a harder time, for sure. But then the other thing is, like for us, we're not taken seriously. Do you know what I'm saying? So like where if I'm holding my girl's hand, a guy will still approach her and still try to get with her. I remember one time we were in the city and we were walking by and we were holding hands. So it was very obvious. And I remember he looked at her butt and was like, damn, like so disrespectful. If that was you holding her hand, that wouldn't happen. Right. You know what I'm saying? And like it got me like so heated so fast that I just was like ready to say something. She pulled my hand. She's like, babe, just come on. You know, but the point is like you guys don't have to, straight people don't have to deal with that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure straight people, when they hold their significant other's hand, they don't have to think about safety. They're not like, oh, let me just make sure this is safe, you know? Yeah. So that's why I think, you know, someone had asked me recently, you know, well, if you want to be so equal, why do you need gay flags? Why do you need Pride Month? Why do you need the parade? Well, that's why, because my answer to her was like, well, do you have to look around when you go to hold your husband's hand? Because if you don't, then you don't need a Pride Month. You know, you don't need a straight month because your straight month is like every day. So when Pride comes around, you know, yeah, it gets a little crazy. And yes, you know, people get all flamboyant with it, but it's because it's like a whole year of not being able to really, really be yourself.
That's a great response. No, that's a great response. I think that like you like it's deserved in a way because y'all have earned the right, even though it's crazy to say, it's like y'all have equal opportunity now, even though it's not that way. It's quote unquote equal opportunity, and it's kind of like with other things in life or people. You know, like we could even say like Black History Month, right? Like some people would be like, why did that? Like
because they don't know
it's the struggle.
Deserved. Because they don't know the struggle.
Exactly, you know what I'm saying? It's deserved. So I could totally see that. I will say on both ends of what you were saying before, just to go back. I'm not gonna lie, I've been one of those people. Not what that dude did to Neff. That I have not done, but I've been one of those people that I've been like, you know, I'm talking to somebody, they're like, yeah, like I'm a lesbian. And I'm like, you ever been with a guy? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, maybe you could do it again. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like
100%.
I've done that.
I've gotten that, well, not from
Yes.
you, but,
Yeah.
but like from many guys, like, well, you know, asking for threesomes and
Yeah.
this and that. And it's just like annoying because you wouldn't, you know, like they wouldn't do that to a straight couple.
Yes.
Like they don't catch that.
Yep.
So it's more annoying. I think it's more dangerous for guys, like for gay guys, because they really catch it, but we get more, I feel like, harassed in that way.
I will say that there is guys that will always test guys. Like if there's a guy that's brolic, big, strong, I've seen it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've seen it. It's happened to me before where people break their neck. Like, you know, like I've dated somebody that had a big butt and they, I don't really care. Like to me, it's like, all right, you want to look, it is what it is. Look, because
Looking is
you know
looking,
what I'm saying?
but
I
if
would
you're
look.
there like saying something, like
But
it's not necessary.
It's also like a respect of how long you're looking. And so for me, it's like one time I'll never forget this. We were at Walgreens and a dude walked out of Walgreens and I felt his neck snap. I'm like, all right, cool. But I felt, it was weird. Like I just felt like dude was still looking. This is like 20 seconds after. So I turn around, he's still looking. I'm like, bro, I literally put my hands, I'm like, bro, come on. Like really? Like
I let
for
you
real.
look for a few seconds,
Yeah,
but
like,
still,
come on, 20, like to walk away and you walk in and you just, you know what I'm saying? Like that to me.
19.9
Yeah,
would be okay,
exactly. I'm
but-
like, bro, it's been like 20 seconds, bro. You dragging it now. So I get what you're saying, though. Totally, I could totally see
I mean,
that.
I let that stuff roll off for the most time, but sometimes,
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends on my mood too, because sometimes it is annoying. Like, just let us live our life. Like, you see what's together, just
Yep.
let it go,
Yeah.
you know?
Everybody's operating that ego, pride, and things of that nature. Yeah. So two stereotypes or things that people say, we were talking about this and I have wrote it down was, what was the two that I wrote down? U-Haul relationships. I want you to explain that to people within the lesbian community, having a U-Haul relationship. And then also man haters. So I want you to explain both of those and what you think about both of those.
Well, I'm going to say the man hater first.
Okay.
To me, that is a complete myth because I have some really, really great men in my life. Like I've never been wronged by a man, ever. Like, I've had really good guys in my life. Even back in the day, when I was, you know, dating guys, like, long time ago, like, even them, they were, like, good guys, you know? So for me, the women I surround myself with, nobody's a man hater. I don't, you know, so that may be a myth for somebody, may be true for some people, but not for the people I'm around. And U-Haul, so basically a U-Haul relationship is like they say, like women
funny.
connect so fast. There's so much emotion. It's like you're together for 5 minutes and like, you know, what's the joke? You know, what
U-Haul
does a
truck is
lesbian
outside?
bring on this? What does a lesbian bring on the second date? A U-Haul truck. You know, so is there truth to that? I guess with some people, you know, I think it's more like that emotional connection because with us, I mean, I don't know about straight people because I never really had a real, I guess, straight relationship, but it's like, we just bond and we become like besties. It's like your best friend. So like when you go through a breakup, like you lose your best friend and, you know, you lose, hey, can I borrow your eyeliner? Hey, can I, you know, you got some hairspray or hey, let me wear, you share clothes and you do all that stuff. So it's like a bestie bond in addition to all the intimate stuff. So it can be very emotional, but it doesn't mean for everybody.
No, I think and I think women operate with emotion quicker. Like men, it takes a little bit for men to get on board. I would say for the most part, like they'll like somebody, but it's gonna take them, you know, a lot to eventually get to that emotional part where that person becomes truly their best friend. I'm sure there's instances in relationships where you meet somebody and y'all hit it off right away, and that best friend feel is the first thing. But I feel for the most part, it takes a little bit of time for men and women to really, really connect. More so for men to really just get locked in. And I'm sure women watch this episode and be like, hell yeah. But you know, I think that's something that definitely happens. I want to go back again to the family aspect of it. Now being where you're at now, how much does just the family in general really just help you navigate life and support? Because, you know, I've seen like my mom, I've seen Emery, I've seen everybody post for Pride Month or post about things that you're doing, whether, you know, whatever it be, whether it be the parades or whatever you're supporting.
Yeah,
in that
well,
regard.
now everyone is supportive, so I'm like really blessed like with that. Amory like gets more pissed off than I do when people say bad stuff about gay people.
Right.
Like, she just wants to fight everyone when, they say anything bad. But yeah, no, we get all the support. There's none of my sisters do I have to hide from. I could be affectionate. I could go to them with good things, bad things, and different things. Like there's no, I could call really any one of my sisters at 3 a.m. and be like, this is going on, and they're there, you know? So there's really, that's not even a topic, honestly, with us anymore. There's no gay issue with us anymore. It's like, this is what's going on.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You've been in relationships, what would you say, your whole life?
Since high school, yeah.
So you're in
my first relationship was in high school.
So now being in a relationship that you are now, what has this relationship shown you maybe different from anything you ever been a part of?
Okay, so I mean a lot.
This is a spotlight on you now. So you don't watch.
No, Netflix has really taught me how to be present. Like I said earlier, I'm always on to the next thing. She teaches me to be present. She teaches me to be basically grateful for what I have. She loves teaches me like the little things in life, to appreciate like the little things, where that's different for me. I'm always like on to the next thing, like I said. So she'll teach me that. She supports anything I do. If I say, hey babe, I want to kick a rock down the street, she'll be like, let's go, she's just very supportive of anything I do. And she'll be like, you got this, and she lets me live life, which is amazing. And it's like this sense of free love, If I said to her right now, me and Patrick, we want to go to Africa for, a month, she'll be like, are you going to be by any lions? And I'll be like, no, I'm good. She'll be like, all right, well, as long as you're safe, babe, have fun. Like,
that's amazing.
And like, that is definitely like a gift, because I need that, because I'm a very outgoing person, and she has kids and she can't always do the things that I could do, but she embraces and celebrates me and the things I love to do. Our core is very, very strong. Are we different in certain ways? Yeah, we're different in certain ways, but that's okay, because we work those things out. As long as you have the core, it's like super important. So
what would you consider freedom to be to you? Like the word freedom, everybody has, I would guess, a different sense of that. But like you said, you're a free spirit, you're outgoing. So what is freedom to you?
So when I think of freedom, I think of like the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
I like to hike. I'm about to go to Machu Picchu, Peru, like for a 2-day hike in the mountains, the Andes Mountains. So in that aspect, freedom. But overall, as a whole, I love having my people, my family. So whether it be my sisters, even my parents, Neff, her kids, my kids, like everyone. Like, I love when we all have our family gatherings, and when all the kids get together, it's like we call them gang gang, because we got, your son, my granddaughters, like, Neff's kids. We got Vanessa and Holly's daughter. We got my niece, my nephew, Nora and Dylan, like just everyone. When they all get together and the family all gets together, like, to me, that's like the ultimate feeling. Because there's no drama. It's just laughs on laughs on laughs.
Yeah.
And it's like the best feeling.
Unless somebody gets punched in the eye, but we'll leave that story for another day.
Oh, you want that story?
No, I'll leave that story for another day. But they know who they are. So with that, you're a big time traveler. Like, you like to travel, you like to explore. What is the coolest exploration that you have done in your life up to this day?
So I would say two things. One was snorkeling in Belize, which is like in the Caribbean Sea, and it was like damn near being in the Finding Nemo movie. Like, everything was so crystal clear, and I kept swallowing water because I wanted to go deeper, like next to the fish. Like, it was just so cool. Like, we were swimming with like stingrays, stuff like that. That, and then also last year I always wanted to go cross country, and last year I trailed my motorcycle cross country. Rode down the Pacific Coast Highway on my bike. Like, that is like the ultimate, like, road trips. Love road trips, because it's like just ultimate freedom, and just seeing like from state to state to state how it changes. Like, America, it got a lot of issues, but geographically, it's just so varied. So to come from New York and to go like even through like Montana, like with the, I saw a bear, like it's like a
crazy.
grizzly. You don't see grizzlies out here. You see black bears, but you don't see grizzlies out here. It was
Right.
like just crazy out there.
Yeah. What I'm big on not I'm big on not sharing my location. I'm not a location person. So tell them the story about what your father did to you when you decided to share your location on that trip.
So my dad, he's always worried because I just be doing outlandish things. Like I send them videos of like on top of a mountain. He's like, Gladys. So I like don't tell him everything anymore because I don't want them to worry. But
Right.
so basically, when I'm driving cross country, well, where you at now? Well, where you at now? Where you at now? Right. So I'm like, God damn, like every like hour on the hour, it's like a long ride. And he's like texting me, where you at? So I was like, you know what? Let me share my location so he don't have to like text me every 5 seconds. He could see where I'm going. So I turn on the location. I give it to him. Now it becomes, I see you're by a Home Depot. Are you stopping? I see you're at, the gas station. You're good on gas? Is your tires good? And I'm just like, oh my God, dude, like,
That's
just let me
crazy.
live my life.
That's a retired man right there.
It was. I mean, it was cute. We were cracking up, but I'm like, oh my God, it was funny though.
So that's too much.
And then like Neff too, I share my location with her because it's like she'll send me videos of like it'll be like her profile picture is me and her, so it'll be like me and her, and it'll be like in the middle of the woods because I'm like in some mountain or some shit.
That's
So
funny.
it's like all green, and all you see is our picture doing like this, and
That's
she's like,
funny.
"You're on the move fast."
That's dope. I mean, that's dope though. The fact that you have people that care that much, you know what I'm saying, to keep that's just a beautiful thing. Not everybody has that.
I mean,
And
I do
think
know if I
that's-
ever, something happens out there, eventually you'll find me.
Yeah, exactly. The occasion, right? So now in life, what is the next chapter? Because every life has, chapters. We go through chapters of life, things that we close the book on, pages that we flip. What do you see the next chapter of your life being? And also, what do you see within just living as a lesbian? What do you see for yourself as far as like giving back or maybe helping people that struggle? Because even now, there's people that are probably struggling to tell the world.
Yeah, well, with that, I don't like per se tell my students, but if a student comes to me, like I'll tell them, if it comes up. I am very open. I shut down any negativity about gay people. Like, because kids, even though it's 2025, kids still make comments. So I shut that down real quick. And I just have like an open door policy for kids to come talk to me and stuff. And then in the school, they have a GSA, Gay Straight Alliance. It's a club that actually me and my friends started years ago that actually Kevin used to be a part of. And then they just carried it on. So like other teachers do it now.
That's beautiful.
So sometimes I'll be like a guest speaker there and I'll talk to them about like what my experience being gay was in Longwood. Because I graduated from Longwood and that's where I teach too. So they're like, what? And they taught me, I thought that it was very open, and they taught me that they still face a lot of discrimination.
Wow.
So I didn't know that.
Amazing. And then the second part to that was, what chapter do you see yourself moving into going forward?
I would like to get married again. Yeah, I would like to do that.
She gonna clip that one.
What?
I said, Neff gonna clip that one. She gonna put that in the bank.
I'm not letting her go, that's for sure. She's a good one. Eventually, not saying like tomorrow, but eventually. And then eventually retirement. I don't know if I'm going to stay in New York. We'll see, depending. And it also depends on the laws, because the way things are going right now, I don't know. Like they reverse Roe versus Wade, and we're next on the chopping block. So if we want to get married, like, I don't even know if New York will be legal. They may throw it back to the States. And back in the day, New York was not legal.
Right.
Everyone thinks New York
Remember
is
that.
so liberal. It wasn't. Like, my first marriage, we like had to get married in Massachusetts.
Wow.
Because, in Boston, because it was illegal in New York. So if they flip it back to, state to state, and it's no longer federal, like, so like all the things, again, this is why, like, these are all the things like we as gay people, we have to think of. Like, straight people don't think about that. Like, oh, we got to get married by such and such date because the laws may change. You never have to worry about that. Like, we have to worry about, I have a friend of mine that got married before her and her wife now, they were getting married anyway, but they kind of rushed the process because they were like, when Trump gets elected, I don't know what's going to happen. So they literally got married before he got elected to make sure they were locked in. Hopefully locked in. Who knows if he has it reversed. What's even going to happen?
What do you think the peach president himself is to the United States? Like, how detrimental do you believe he is truly to just America in itself?
Oh my God! He's just like reversing. He's bringing it back, honestly, to like when I was a kid. You know, I feel like it progressed so much, and I just feel like there's so much hate. And I get, listen, I was a cop, so I get like, the peaceful protests and all that, and you shouldn't be throwing bricks at cops and all. I get that, but there's also a lot of anger, and there's families being torn apart. We're gonna really go there. Don't get me started with this whole immigrant thing. Like, this is like families. We're talking about families, you know what I'm saying, getting ripped apart. So, yeah, people are going to be passionate. People are going to be angry.
Yeah.
People are going to be out there, But no, I feel like he's bringing us back to make America great again. Like, no.
Right.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I was talking to somebody today, I think a lot of people that voted for him, most people that voted for him are at that point. And I don't know if you've ever been to that point in life where you're rooting for somebody, right? And then you know that they just messing up and you know that it's not going the right way. And you're like, nah, they still my dog, though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they want to remain loyal.
Yeah, they're trying to remain loyal in this sense. But I think deep down, people are starting to realize really where America is headed, even with how America acts, the way things like within Israel and all of those things that go on. Him talking about no more wars. Yeah. And this and stopping all these wars across.
And they're talking about building up in Gaza. Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Just a lot of BS. And I know the political side is something that people don't like to talk about, religious that people don't like to talk about, but sometimes it's like something that you got to bring to the forefront. And really
I don't want to talk about it right now because I feel myself getting hot.
Yeah. Nah, that's what I'm saying. It's one of those things that, it's just a terrible thing.
In all aspects.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, though, first of all, I want to say thank you for coming on because it takes a lot of courage to talk about the things you talked about, regardless of whether, people are out now or not. It takes a lot of courage just to come on and talk about that. And then, two, I know you're a private person. So with you being a private person, for you even to get behind the mic to share to no matter who watches it, I think it's an important thing. So I want to say thank you for that.
Thank you. And I also just feel like I have a strong support system.
Right.
Like, I hear nightmares about like other families and stuff. And to be honest, like I really feel solid in it. Right. And maybe that's why I don't have a million friends. I have a couple of good friends. I don't have a million friends because I have my sisters. I have you. I have like my,
Mm-hmm. The last question I want to ask you, though, before we did get out of here was if you had to sit across, not from me, but from a young you, like the you before you even get removed.
Deep.
Yeah, before you even get removed from your house, what would you sit there and tell her that? What would you say to her? What would be your message to her, knowing what you felt at that age of 16? What would be your message?
Just be you, no matter what, because at the end of the day, people are gonna have something to say regardless.
Right.
Like they may not like your shoes, your hat. They're gonna talk regardless. So I think when I was younger, I cared about that stuff. And as you get older, you don't care as much. You care more about your people, your tribe. That's who I care about. Right. And that's honestly, you say, what advice would I give the younger me? It's the advice I give my students. Be you. Don't worry about anyone else. They're not paying your bills, and their life goes on. No one's, and probably no one's even thinking about you. You're thinking they're thinking about you. They ain't thinking about you. Yeah,
that, and they ain't gonna be there at the end. Usually, they're not gonna be there at the end. Even friendships come and go sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes you have the strong friends, but then friendships come and go. But yeah, I just want to say thank you. It's a lot for people to share certain stories, and I know something like this can touch a lot of people, can hit a lot of people at home, and I know that. There'll even be people that hate. That'll be like, nah, like, that will have a negative thought to it. But like you said,
that's fine.
At the end of the day, it's okay.
To that.
Exactly.
If you're against, gay marriage, that's okay. Just don't marry a gay person.
Exactly. And stay out the parades. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But no, that's it's a beautiful thing, and I hope that more people see this and want to really express and come and talk about it, because I think with anything, it's like you said, a tribe. You could grow something within conversation that people may not want to listen or talk about.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
no,
saying?
for
There's a lot of
sure.
people that just hear about it, hear outside thoughts, and that's their perception. Instead of listening to somebody like you who's been through
Well,
it,
it's also
been through the
people
ringer.
like, say stuff like, if you're raising kids in a gay household, like they become gay. That's like such bullshit, because I sure shit didn't have any gay role models, you know what I'm saying? And then, I also have 2 stepsons that grew up in a gay household and they're both straight. Like,
Yep.
it's like just nonsense.
Nonsense and bullshit. Nonsense and bullshit.
Yeah. Just live life.
Tell people. I do actually, because I want to know. So tell people a little bit about that Peru trip, because I didn't even know.
About
I
what?
heard about it. The Peru trip. Like,
Oh.
tell people about that, because I actually want to know. I'm here to. I want to know that too. What is the detail behind that? Like, what's the mountain like? Like, how much are you traveling up there?
So the mountain, it's the Andes Mountains. It's called Machu Picchu. It's from the Inca civilization from way back in the day. And then they abandoned the city. Like, they literally built a city in the mountains, like way up there. I don't even know. I want to say it's like 8,000 feet up. Like,
Wow.
when you go, you have to stay in the city for 2 days. Your body has to like acclimate to the weather.
Oh, adjust.
You know what I'm saying? Because you'll get sick. And a lot of people do go and throw up and get like really nauseous and stuff like that. So your body has to get used to the altitude up there. And that's in the valley, like that's the city. And then you hike up. And so anyway, it's a city in the Andes Mountains, and they just abandoned it. And some hikers went up one day and just found it. And it's like one of the 7 wonders of the world. And people go every year. You get a tour guide. You can't go up. Like, the Peruvian government doesn't let people just go up. It's not like going upstate New York. You just go hiking. It's like you need, they're called porters, and they bring you up there. They have a 4-day hike. We're doing the 2-day hike because my friend that's going, she's like, really, Gladys, 4 days? I want to do the 4-day, but she was like, can we compromise a little? So the first half we're going there, second half we're going to the beach on the other side of the country.
Nah, that's beautiful. That's cool. That's
But
good
yeah, it's supposed to
compromise.
be a very spiritual setting, because it's like all the ancestors and stuff like that. So it's supposed to be really cool.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Again, DT, thank you. We love you.
Love you
The
too.
family. This is something that, again, even for the family, I'm sure they will enjoy. Some probably things that they might even learn. You know what I'm saying? These are things that I think is important, and you're definitely a role model for multiple people, probably people that you don't even know. That's what I'm learning about just myself. There's certain people that actually do look up to you that you have no idea is actually watching or paying attention. So, just always keep that in mind, which I'm sure you do. But we love you.
Thank
and
you.
that's another
Love you
episode
too.
of Culture Shop Podcast. We out of here.